Welcome back to Naughty Lily's Crochet. Today I want to talk to you about different ways to use stitch markers. I have been asked a couple of times how to use stitch markers with different types of stitches. I did do a video on how to do, I just showed you how to put stitch markers on, and I used single crochet as an example. And so I want to say, for those who are wondering about that, it is the same. So you would put your stitch marker on the first and the last stitch, unless your pattern says something different. So it doesn't matter what kind of stitch you're doing, you would still do it normally. The problem comes in the case where your pattern says that the turning chain, the chain, counts as a stitch. That changes things just a little bit. So that's what I want to show you guys today. And I haven't been on here for a long time. I think it's been like a year or so, but I've gotten some questions and I really want to help you guys out. I have just been busy teaching my own classes. I teach classes, crochet classes to kids, and I also homeschool my own kids. So I got a lot going on, but I definitely wanted to pop on here and help if there was any way that I could. And maybe I'll start doing a few more videos if you guys have some more questions for me. Okay, so let's get started. So I have a piece right here and I'm doing double crochet. And what I'm going to show you is if your pattern says your turning chain counts as a stitch. So this right here, I'm at my last stitch, okay, of this round right here. But this one right here was the turning chain. So we have to make sure that we do our stitch in this turning chain. And it'll kind of make more sense in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to do a double. So if you don't know how to do a double, I do have videos on all the different stitches also, so you can go back to that. But you grab your yarn, you're going to go into just like the top. So this is 2 chains. I have 2 chains for a double, and then I'm going to go into just like grab one of those and do my last one. Okay, so then I need to do my turning chain so I can keep going. So I'm going to do 1, 2 turning chain. If you're doing a single crochet, you usually just do 1. If you're doing like a treble stitch, you usually do 3. Half double, you also usually do 2, but your pattern will tell you. So I have 2 right here. What I'm going to do is put a stitch marker on the second chain. So I have 1 chain, 2. So I'm going to put it right here. And this is going to help me know where to do my last stitch of the next round. Okay, so I did that. We're going to turn around and we're just going to leave that there. Now, if your pattern says that this chain counts as a stitch, then it counts as being the first stitch right here. So it means you would not go into here and do another stitch because this counts as a stitch. A lot of other times this doesn't count as a stitch. It's just solely the turning chain and you do another stitch right here, but we're not going to do that. So you need to always skip that one. So skip that very first one and then go into the next one. So I'm going to go to the end and then just kind of show you again here. So I have my turning chain marked. So this is the turning chain. So I'm going to go into this turning chain. Just grab one of the loops of the turning chain and do my last stitch. Okay. I still have this one marked for later when we come back. This is my turning chain because sometimes the turning chain can be hard to see. It kind of collapses in and then you might only do a stitch here. And if you keep only doing a stitch here and skipping the turning chain, your work is going to start to get smaller and smaller. You're going to wonder why you don't have the same amount of stitches. So I'm going to do my 2 chains again. Replace this. So take this stitch marker out of that old turning chain because I already did it, and put it on the new turning chain. And then I'm going to turn it around, leave this for next time. I need to know that I skip this very first one here So this is my chain, and I skip the one that the chain is attached to. So that means we're going into this one instead. And then we'll go to the end one more time here. I feel like this is the easiest way. This is how I would do it. There might be other ways out there, but this is how I would do it. So this is the last regular stitch that I am doing, but I need to make sure I do it in the turning chain. So you can kind of see people might accidentally skip it because they don't realize that this is a stitch right here, or they just don't know exactly where to go. So this stitch marker that I have right here shows you the turning chain, and you can take this out if you want to, or I have just learned how to work around it so that I know exactly where to go. So I just put my hook right there and do my last stitch. Then I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to move it again. Each time I'm moving it to here. So I have 2 chains. Okay, 1, 2. I'm going to just loop it right there. I'm going to turn it around. And again, we're going to skip this very first one. Okay, so that would be the basic way to do it. Just put your stitch marker in the turning chain, okay? That is the easiest way to do it if your pattern says that the chain counts as a stitch. Now, if you have a hard time knowing which one is the first one that you need to skip, you can also do a stitch marker here. So let's say we go back here. We're going to go back to the last one here. So this is the turning chain. It would have been marked. Do my last stitch in the turning chain. I can also mark this last stitch right here. And you'll see why in a minute. Chain 2. Mark this also. I need to always mark this. This is the normal one. I'm always going to mark my turning chain so I know where to do it. Turn everything around, leave this one for later. That'll help us at the end. Now this one is marked. Other times I mark it so I know where to do the first stitch, but in this case we are marking it so we know where not to do the first stitch, okay? So I'm going to not do that one and do my first stitch and keep going. You can just take this one out because we don't need this. Not that one, that's the turning chain one. The one that was down here, okay? That we marked so that we knew where not to do the first stitch, okay? So we'll do that a couple more times. So we're gonna get to the end. Remember, you can always pause the video. There's also usually options to slow it down or speed it up. So that's my last regular stitch right here. And then this is the one that we marked telling us to don't forget this. This is the turning chain. So we do our very last stitch right there in the turning chain, okay? Now, if you would like, you can put the stitch marker on the last stitch. And then you can do your chain. But then you also need to move this one from that turning chain that we did the stitch in to the new turning chain. Just right at the top. Turn everything around. Leave this one for later. And this one marks where not to do it, okay? So don't do it there, do it in the next one. So it's up to you how confident you feel about being able to recognize that first stitch and which one you need to skip. So I'm just gonna do this one last time. So this right here, turning chain, make sure to do that one. You can mark this last stitch if you would like. If you need the extra help, you can do that. Then chain 2, mark it. Move the one that was on the turning chain. Mark this turning chain here. Turn it around. Now it tells you where to skip, okay? So I hope that clears up any questions you guys might have. I'm gonna try to do a couple more videos if you guys have some more questions, so just leave me a comment and let me know. I hope this was helpful, and if you I would love it if you would like and subscribe. Thank you so much.